Hello, everyone. Welcome to the English Speaking Show. I'm Jake.
And I'm Ella. Really glad you're here. Wherever you're listening from, welcome.
Ella, can I ask you something? When you use affect or effect in a sentence, are you always confident you have the right one?
Honestly, not always. I still think about it sometimes.
Same. And I have been speaking English for years.
The thing is, nobody really explains the difference clearly. Most people just guess and hope for the best.
And that is exactly what today's episode fixes. Affect versus effect, once and for all.
By the end, you will know exactly which one to use and why.
And there is one situation where effect becomes a verb. It surprises a lot of people. We will get to that later.
Okay, let's start.
Okay, let's give you one rule, one image that covers everything.
Affect does the changing. Effect is the change.
What does that mean exactly?
Affect is a verb. It is the action. Something is influencing something else.
Affect is a noun. It is the result. What happened because of that action?
So, affect does the changing. Effect is the change itself.
One simple pair. Stress affects your sleep.
Stress is doing something. It is influencing your sleep. Affect, the action.
Stress has a negative effect on your sleep.
The result stress produces. Effect, the outcome.
Same situation, same meaning, but one is the action and one is the result.
Let's give you more examples so you can feel the pattern.
The cold weather affects my energy. Cold weather is doing the influencing. Affect.
The cold weather has a bad effect on my energy. The result, effect.
Music affects my mood. Music is doing something. Affect.
Music has a powerful effect on my mood. The result music produces, effect.
And there's a simple test we use all the time. Can you replace the word with influence or change? Use affect.
Can you replace it with result or outcome? Use effect.
And I have another test that always works for me. I ask myself, is this something someone does, or is this something someone feels or has?
Show me.
Stress does something to my sleep. Does. Affect. I feel the result of stress on my sleep. Feel. Effect.
So, affect is always doing something. Effect is always something you feel or have.
Exactly. It has never failed me.
Now, effect has some everyday phrases that come up constantly in real English. And in all of them, it is always effect, never affect.
Which ones?
Take effect. The medicine will take effect in 30 minutes. Something starts working.
Side effects. The medicine has side effects. The results you did not expect.
Have an effect on. The weather has an effect on my mood. The result something produces.
All of them, effect. Always.
And I say this because I used to say take affect for years. Every single time I talked about medicine or new rules starting.
Really?
Every time. The new law will take affect next month. It sounded completely fine to me.
What finally corrected you?
I said it to a colleague once, and she paused and looked at me. She said, "Don't you mean take effect?" I was so embarrassed.
So friends, if you have been saying take affect, you are not alone. It is one of the most common mistakes we see. And now you know, always take effect. Never take affect.
Affect does the changing. Effect is the change itself.
And affect always causes an effect. The action always produces the result.
Now, these two words are actually two parts of the same story. And once you see that connection, everything becomes much clearer.
Every time you use affect, an effect follows. The action produces the result. They are always connected.
Exercise affects your energy. That is the action. Exercise is doing something.
The effect of exercise on your energy is huge. That is the result, what exercise produces.
Affect is the beginning of the story. Effect is the ending.
I have a real example. Last year, I changed my sleep routine completely. I started going to bed at 10:30 every night, no exceptions.
And did it affect you?
Hugely. It affected my mornings most of all. I started waking up without an alarm after just 2 weeks.
What was the effect?
The biggest effect was on my mood. I was noticeably happier every morning. My colleagues even commented on it.
They noticed.
They actually asked me what changed.
I have one too. About 3 months ago, I cut out coffee completely. I had been drinking 4 cups a day for years.
4 cups?
I know, it was a lot. And cutting it out affected me immediately. The first week was really difficult.
What was the effect?
The short-term effect was headaches every single day for a week. But after 2 weeks, the long-term effect was incredible. Better sleep, less anxiety, more energy in the afternoons.
So, cutting coffee affected Ella, and the effects were headaches first, then better sleep and energy later.
2 parts of the same story, always connected.
Now, the most common mistake people make is using effect as a verb. The weather will effect my plans. They mean affect, the action, but they used effect.
Effect is almost never a verb in everyday English. It is almost always a noun, the result, the outcome.
And the opposite mistake. The effect of stress is serious. They mean the result, but they used affect, the action word.
Effect is the result, always. The effect of stress is serious. That is correct.
And she was deeply affected by the news. Very common mistake. She was influenced. That is the action. Affect.
She was deeply affected by the news. Affected, past tense of affect. The news did something to her emotionally.
Now, remember the open loop from the beginning? The one situation where effect becomes a verb?
The new government wants to effect change. Here, effect is a verb, meaning to bring something about, to make it happen.
But this is very formal. You will hear it in political speeches and official announcements, not in everyday conversation.
So, in everyday English, if you are not sure, use affect as your verb, always.
And one more thing. You may sometimes hear affect used as a noun in medical or psychology situations.
Like, the patient showed a flat affect. That means the person was not showing any emotion on their face.
This is technical language. You will hear it in hospitals or medical programs on television, not in everyday conversation.
So, in everyday English, affect is your verb. Effect is your noun. The exceptions exist, but you will rarely need them.
And now let's test everything because I think you are more ready than you realize.
Quiz time!
Okay, 5 sentences. You decide correct or wrong.
We will explain every answer. No stress, this is just practice.
Ready? Let's go.
Question 1. The new medicine has a strong effect on blood pressure.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. Effect here is following A. That is the signal. It is the result, the outcome. A strong effect on blood pressure. Effect, the noun, always after A or the.
And notice, this one is tricky because the sentence sounds completely natural. That is exactly why this mistake is so common.
If you got that wrong, don't worry. Most people do the first time.
Question 2. She was deeply affected by her grandmother's passing.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. She was influenced emotionally. That is the action, affect. She was deeply affected by her grandmother's passing.
Effected is only correct in the rare formal use, to effect change. In emotional situations, always affected.
Question 3. The cold weather affected the farmers negatively this season.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. The cold weather is doing something to the farmers. It is influencing them. That is the action, effect. The cold weather affected the farmers negatively.
And notice, this sentence looks very convincing. Affected sounds like a real past tense verb, but in everyday English, affected is almost always what you need.
Friends, if these first three were tricky, don't worry at all. Affect and effect confuse almost everybody. That is exactly why we are here today.
Question 4. The doctor said the treatment will affect results within 2 weeks.
Correct or wrong? Wrong. The treatment is not influencing results, it is producing them, it is bringing them about. The treatment will have an effect on results within 2 weeks.
This one is the trickiest so far, because affect results sounds natural, but the treatment is not changing results, it is creating them. Effect.
Question 5. The government wants to effect change in the education system. Correct or wrong? This one is genuinely tricky. Most people would say wrong, but actually both effect and affect can work here.
With different meanings. Affect change. The government wants to influence how change happens.
Affect change. The government wants to bring change into existence to make it happen.
Same sentence, 2 different words, 2 completely different meanings.
Affect change or effect change, both correct, just with different meanings. English never makes it completely simple, does it?
Never. Okay, how many did you get right? Tell us in the comments. 1 out of 5? 2, 3, 4? Or perfect score?
If you made mistakes, completely okay. These are genuinely difficult. Even confident English speakers get caught by these.
Now, let's hear both words in a real natural conversation.
Two colleagues, Sarah and Tom, are catching up at work. The company has just introduced a new flexible working policy. Listen carefully. You will hear affect and effect naturally throughout. See if you can spot which one we use and why.
Ready?
Ready. Sarah, have you noticed how the new flexible hours policy has affected the whole team?
Honestly, yes. The effect on productivity has been massive. People seem so much more focused.
I know. It has affected my own work too. I used to struggle in the mornings. Now I start at 10 and I am so much more effective.
Has it affected your commute as well?
Completely. The effect of avoiding rush hour is incredible. I used to spend 90 minutes on the train. Now it's 45.
90 minutes? That would affect anyone's mood.
Lucky for 90 minutes. Every single day. I was exhausted before I even arrived. But what about you? Has it had a positive effect on your work?
Mostly yes. The biggest effect for me has been on my concentration. I work from home on Wednesdays now, and I get twice as much done.
Do you think it affects teamwork, though? Some people are worried about that.
That is a fair point. The effect on communication has been mixed. Some days it feels disconnected.
True. I think the long-term effects are still unclear, but right now, personally, it has affected my life in a really positive way.
Same. I think the overall effect has been worth it.
Did you catch them all? Let me ask, did you notice how naturally affect and effect came out?
Every time something was doing the influencing, affect has affected the whole team, affected my commute, affects teamwork.
And every time they talked about a result, effect, the effect on productivity, the effect of avoiding rush hour, the long-term effects.
The meaning decided the word every single time.
And that's exactly where you want to get to. Not thinking about the rule, just feeling which word is right.
And the only way to get there is to practice saying these sentences yourself, out loud. When you say something out loud, your mouth learns it, your brain learns it. It starts to feel natural much faster than just listening.
3 patterns. Say each one out loud. Don't just think it, actually say it.
Pattern 1. My blank affects my blank every day.
My example, my morning walk affects my energy levels every day.
Mine, the amount of sleep I get affects my patience every day.
Your turn. Think of something that influences you every single day. Say it out loud.
Now, pattern 2. The effect of blank on my life has been blank.
My example, the effect of learning a new language on my life has been incredible.
Mine, the effect of moving to a new city on my life has been challenging but exciting.
Your turn. Think of a change or experience that produced a real result in your life. Say it out loud.
Now, pattern 3. I can feel the effects of blank already.
My example, I can feel the effects of the new work schedule already.
Mine, I can feel the effects of reading more already.
Your turn. Think of something new in your life. What effects can you already feel? Say it out loud. Your own words, your own life. That's real practice. Okay, let's bring everything together one final time. The rule that covers everything.
Affect does the changing. Effect is the change.
Write that down. Put it somewhere you can see it, because that one sentence will help you every single time you are not sure which word to use.
Affect is a verb. It is the action. Something is influencing something else. Something is doing the changing.
Effect is a noun. It is the result, the outcome, what happened because of that action.
And they are always connected. Affect causes the effect. The action always produces the result.
2 simple tests. Can you replace the word with influence or change? Use affect.
Can you replace it with result or outcome? Use effect.
And remember the fixed expressions. Take effect, side effects, have an effect on, always effect, never affect.
In everyday English, affect is your verb. Effect is your noun. The exceptions exist, but you will rarely need them.
Now, your challenge. 2 sentences in the comments right now.
Sentence 1. Something that affects you every day. Use affect as a verb.
Sentence 2. One effect it has on your life. Use effect as a noun.
2 sentences. Write them below. We read every single comment.
And if this episode helped you, if affect and effect finally make sense, please subscribe. We make these episodes every week for you.
Every episode is designed to help you speak English more naturally, more confidently, without stopping to think.
Just like that moment at the beginning when Ella and I admitted we still pause sometimes when we use these words.
But after today, that pause gets much shorter.
Much shorter.
Thank you so much for listening. We will see you in the next one.
See you next time.